Hey guys, how y'all doing? I'm here to give you guys a recap on the new chapter or episode of RWBY Volume 4. Now, this is on Chapter 2 or Episode 2, whichever fits for you. And this chapter is not gonna have a lot to. I may have to get a lot to cover as best I can, especially some certain important things that I've been looking at and rewatching at some points here and there. And I did watch this with my niece and so forth because she loves RWBY and other things, And because I'm a little late on a couple things, but we could get into that maybe another time, which may never happen, but yeah. Anyways, let's just get this started. After the opening of RWBY, which is really slick as always and so forth, which I did make an analysis about that a long time ago, well, last week, we do see after the opening, Weiss is walking around her home. And her home is big, has a snake statue, a piano room, and something like that. And we get to see Weiss actually has a little brother. And what's his name? Which I don't know or remember. But all I know is if he plays a certain role, it'll be a shame on my part, okay? But we also have to it that after a little small comedic talk about how he does not like Winter, the little brother, but he actually likes it in a later time as he grows, because her resolve is very strong. And I'm surprised there's more kids, well, besides Winter and Weiss and so forth. Although we get to see to it that there's some kind of dream where RWBY remembers something. Well, it's something like, do you believe in destiny? And we all know who that voice is from, and that's Pyrrha, and so forth. And as we see that that Jean, Nora, Ren, and RWBY are on the way to a certain location, apparently the town that they tried to visit is actually burnt down or teared up to shreds with smoke. And we have to it that Ren visits an injured huntsman and says that they were attacked by bandits, and eventually I think it was Grimm, and he succumbs to his wounds and dies later. So another way to say to it that this part right here of a scene of a destructive town and so forth shows how deep and dark that RWBY can really be later in the future, because Volume 3 was a game changer and we all cannot deny that. And right now Volume 4 is starting to show a little bit more of a dangerous aspect. But after after the hunter succumbs to his wounds, we have to it that Nora and Ren ends up looking at a certain symbol as Jean is really upset to see to it that he's tired of losing everything. And I'm thinking in my mind, I don't even want to get into the part about Volume 3, okay? It's just terrifying and sad. But besides all that, there was a symbol that Nora and Ren take a look at, and they decide to keep an eye on it. And I may have a clue who that can be, but for the time being, we'll just keep it on the down low for now, After that town scene, which is all destroyed, we get to see a scene where Weiss actually hears a conversation between her father, which I've forgotten his name, and our buddy James, or Atlas General, if anything. I'm talking about a couple things here and there, but apparently there's a big argument, and we get to know that our boy James of Atlas or something, whatever you want to call it, what's his name? I forgot. Apparently, he is the man of being on the 2 seats of the council. I don't know what this council thing is, but I will keep an eye on that, because me and my niece have been wondering how important it will be later in the future. But after that certain argument and so forth, and talking about it later, we get to see that Weiss's father ends up talking to Weiss, saying that he wants to do something to show the world that yada yada yada, or trying to make a fame, or trying to make some kind of profit out of something, and ask Weiss to possibly sing. So I just go this guy is not caring a dang thing of what's going on and only cares for himself. What the freaking frick, I'm not trying to be a jerk in many ways, but the way how he acted in this episode just shows that. He doesn't really care much and only cares about his company, possibly. Something about transporting sneak dust and so forth, here and there. I'm sorry for making that blah 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 kind of thing. It's just if you watch the chapter or episode, it's nothing more than Weiss's father being upset about how things are not going his way for the company, either making profit or grabbing some kind of attention span. Who knows? But the way how he acted in this episode, not a big fan of it. Not a freaking fan. Obviously, those who kept up with me and my channel would know that. But, besides all that, Weiss decides that she will sing and practice. And we get to see the butler right here, which I forgot his name. But I will say this, though. I had to rewatch the scene a couple times because he seemed to try to make Weiss happy by acting out maybe a couple scenes, but he ends up changing his colors of his eyes. And me and my niece go like, whoa, that's really freaky, So it's like it went from blue to red, then to green, brown, I don't know what color, but all I know is like it made Weiss laugh and smile, and we get to see that RWBY ends up having another dream of voice hearing, and we get to see to it that RWBY was wondering where that noise is from, and apparently it's Jean himself is practicing, that kind of thing. And of course we get to see that he's actually listening to the recording of Pyrrha, which we all know what happened to Pyrrha, and I don't even want to think how bad it was hard for me to get over that thing of what happened to her. And John, on the other hand, listens to these recordings, and we get to hear some words from her saying that, I know it's frustrating and everything's gotten a little hard right now, but I never ever will forget I like a man like you to see that you are so determined to improve or better yourself, And I'm thinking in my mind, oh my gosh, please, no more. And it looked like she was about to say, I love you, I like you, but instead of that, she says, I am glad that I am part of your life, or you're part of my life, or something, and it rewinds, and then John's practicing again. And RWBY could tell from John's actions and gruntings and practice is like he's going through way more pain than anyone else. Possibly in way more pain than possibly might be in more pain than RWBY herself. And we all know that John is going through this thing, maybe trying to get over Pyrrha or something. And I'm pretty sure it's been many months past, and I'm pretty sure John might be having a hard time throughout that time. And I'm pretty sure all will say, "Oh, he should have gotten over her already." Doc, you get a kiss from a girl on the lips and so forth, and then later on, she's burnt to a crisp, turned to ash, and you don't see that teammate coming back. How the hell are you gonna get over that easily? Of course, there might be a way going like, "Oh, that's just life." Yeah, but not in a way that it has to be that cruel. Pretty cool episode. Or chapter. It's nothing really. It's just like we get to see more of Weiss, which is almost like 75% of the episode, and then we get into RWBY, Jean, Nora, and Ren going around, traveling around, and so forth. And of course, there was an important meeting of Weiss's father and James, General James of Atlas or something, So that is all I can say. There's more to it to come. I don't know what's bound to happen, but eventually, I hope we get to see more of the other girls, I hope we see Blake and Yang. We get to see Weiss in this episode throughout 75% of in this episode or chapter, which is a cool thing. Now I'm wondering what's happening, what's going on with Blake and Yang, because those are the next two characters that I would like to see in the next few chapters, possibly. Maybe going back and forth, seeing how RWBY, Jean, Nora, and Ren is doing, along with the other girls. Blake could be next in the next chapter and episode, which I hope it happens. So until then, I'll see you guys in my next video. So I'm Alpha Zero. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out. Bye bye. Toodaloo.